Controlling the elements is no longer a fantasy, and comments made during 1997 have recently come to light. Back in 1997, William S. Cohen, who was the then US Secretary of Defense, made some interesting comments in regards to weather and how the US is controlling it. He said this to an audience at the University of Georgia and went on to detail what the US is capable of. He said the following: "This is engaging in an eco-type of terrorism, whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes and volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. So there are plenty of genius minds out there that are at work finding ways in which they can wreak terror upon other nations. This is real." End quote. These comments are interesting as they have come directly from someone high up in the government. Although it's now known that scientists and researchers are actively controlling the weather, some have pointed out that it's interesting that they were making these comments way back in 1997, over 24 years ago. Many scientists have said that weather modification and geoengineering is a good idea, saying that deliberately manipulating the Earth's climate system can have many benefits. One individual who's been outspoken about this is Bill Gates, saying he's backing companies to spray chemicals into the sky, and that they will help with solar geoengineering. Earlier this year, Bill Gates said he was financially backing the development of sun dimming technology, and said that this has many great benefits, one of which is that sunlight will be reflected away from Earth, essentially creating a global cooling effect. The stratospheric-controlled experiment hopes to spray these chemicals into the atmosphere, and said they plan to do this soon. Some researchers, though, are not on board with the idea, saying that although these chemicals may fix one problem, they could also create several others, some of which include mass flooding and droughts of kinds that will affect very large populations. Professor Roebuck from the University of New Jersey said the following about spraying chemicals into the atmosphere: "Rapid warming after stopping geoengineering would be a huge threat to the natural environment and also biodiversity. If geoengineering ever stopped abruptly, it would be devastating, so you would have to make sure that it could be stopped gradually, and it's easy to think of scenarios that would prevent that. Imagine large droughts or floods around the world that could be blamed on geoengineering, and demands that it stop. Can we ever take that risk? In many cases, you'd have to go one direction to find the same temperature, but a different direction to find the same precipitation. Plants, of course, can't move reasonably at all. Some animals can move and some can't. We really need to look in a lot more detail at the impact on specific organisms, and how they might adapt if geoengineering stops suddenly." End quote. Although scientists have been vocal about spraying these chemicals into the sky, it's reported that tests are already being carried out. One government document reads as follows: "For your information, some of the attachments are provided, which show the extent of interest and trends in weather modification research in the United States. For example, federal reports for 1967 will be 4 times that for 1963, and over twice as large as that in 1965. The copy of the letter from President Johnson to the Secretary of Commerce shows that an expanding program has White House backing. On the recent conference on weather modification sponsored by the National Science Foundation, it was indicated that the level of federal support for weather modification research may be increased several orders of magnitude over the presently projected 1967 level. AGB has in the past furnished intelligence support to various high-level committees. Currently, we enjoy good working relations with the National Science Foundation, which plays a leading role in coordinating the programs. At the recent Interagency Conference on Weather Modification, Dr. L.G. Drossler, chairman of the conference and head of the Atmospheric Science section of NSF, privately congratulated Redacted on his latest Redacted on Soviet modification, and indicated that it had been very helpful. As the US weather modification programs expand, we are likely to have increased demands for intelligence on Soviet accomplishments. The Soviets are also enlarging their program. It's clear that we must now press forward to improve our ability to detect, track and predict severe weather hazards. It's equally clear that the time has come for us to move vigorously forward to explore the possibilities of modifying and controlling the weather in beneficial ways. I cannot emphasize too strongly the importance of weather modification to the nation at large. If we in the United States were to acquire the ability to modify the weather in a substantial way, to blunt the thrust of hurricanes and other severe storms, to suppress hail in crop areas, to cope with lightning discharge in forest areas, and to dissipate all other types of fog, we would have an achievement of vast significance. We would be able to expand our national economy and improve the well-being of the American people in ways, and to a degree that are now inconceivable. The ultimate benefits that weather modification can bring are almost unimaginable. First, there's been some successful experiments in the field of weather modification, although their results are far from definitive. These advances now make it possible to mount a broad program of research to determine once and for all what types of weather modification are feasible. It will undoubtedly take many years to achieve significant results, but we are now in a position to begin." End quote. This document dates back to 1965. So what do you make of the comments that were made back in 1997, saying that the US has the ability to set off earthquakes and volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves? Also, do you think we should be spraying chemicals into the atmosphere in order to cool down the planet? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.